Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new episode of our F1 2022 Road to Glory series here on the channel, fresh off of a strong start for this AlphaTauri team with this Road to Glory series here now, where we're trying to hopefully get at least a top 3 or 4 in the constructor standings and get a win for this AlphaTauri team throughout the season between myself and Pierre Gasly. And we had a 7th place effort in Bahrain. Gasly had a 4th place effort. So it was a very strong start to this series, and hopefully we can continue to bring that momentum here into Imola here today for this 16 round schedule that we are looking at now, as we would jump through into short qualifying for this one. Imola, a track that I thoroughly enjoy racing at, so the hopes were pretty high coming into this one here. I usually expect to be able to run better here in Imola than I do when it comes to a track like Bahrain. Now in our normal career mode, we won here in Imola this season, but obviously in the AlphaTauri it's a completely different situation. The car is nowhere near as competitive as the McLaren Vodafone that we run in our normal career mode here now. So hopefully we can just get a strong top 10, maybe have some chaos that ensues, allow myself to get a better finish here and keep AlphaTauri in this mix, in this Road to Glory series alive now, as there is rain coming in this race. So that could be a bit of a curveball here. Now you're seeing my best lap in qualifying. I crossed the line, I went P10 here. So we would start P10 here in Imola, a few tenths of a second off of our teammate of Pierre Gasly, who qualifies in 8th place. George Russell, Lewis Hamilton, front row, with row number 2 being Verstappen as well as Perez. So let's head to the grid here for Imola.
Hello there and welcome back to Imola, home circuit of the Scuderia Ferrari. We expect to see a lot of local supporters in red today. They've all turned out for what we have every expectation of being a sensational event here at the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix. Unlike most Formula One circuits, Imola is driven anti-clockwise and offers our drivers today just over 3 miles of glistening wet asphalt to negotiate. It's made up of a roughly equal split of 9 right-hand turns and 10 left-hand. Watch the drivers on the way into turn 16. Managing their speed there will be crucial, with the rain only adding to the difficulty of that downhill braking section, which then of course leads into the track's longest straight, though no DRS there today of course. It's not going to be plain sailing for our drivers today, although with the sky falling as it is, perhaps sailing isn't too far from the truth. Anthony Davidson, could be a wet one today. Great to have you with us. What are your thoughts?
It is a touch damp, isn't it? Well, as a driver, there are 3 big things to worry about when racing in these kind of conditions: standing water, tyre temperature and visibility. Judging distance to the cars around you is really tricky when you're driving through the vast amounts of spray that these wet weather Pirelli tyres kick up.
It's time to take a look at our starting grid for today's race. Good job yesterday from Valtteri Bottas. The Finn starts from pole position, and Lewis Hamilton completes the front row. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Verstappen, Perez, Lando Norris and Leclerc, Ricciardo, Gasly, Sainz and the Golden Boy, Fernando Alonso, Vettel, Lance Stroll and Russell, Raikkonen, Giovinazzi, Nicholas Latifi and Mick Schumacher. Mazepin and Esteban Ocon rounds off the grid. And now it's time to head down to the track.
Ready to go, lights out here, and you see the conditions. It is wet, very wet here as we were ready to go. Lights out now, as it's supposed to lighten up, so there could be an opportunity to switch to intermediates throughout this race. It's going to be 5 red lights. Russell, Hamilton lead the way as it's lights out and we are underway here from Imola. Verstappen, Perez get a decent start in the background, but overall a very slow start expected as usual in the rain, but not a whole lot of differences in momentum here. Down into turn 1, Russell holds off Lewis Hamilton, the 7-time world champion, the defending champion, just behind Verstappen. Then you got Perez side by side, wheel to wheel actually, with the McLaren. I believe that was Lando Norris who just got out in front. Look at the background here as well. You see 3 wide through this first sector. There was a Williams, there was an Aston Martin of Sebastian Vettel, as well as you have the Haas's, the Alfa Romeos, Bottas, Schumacher, Magnussen, Guan Yu Zhou, etc. here now. But at the end of this, it's going to still be George Russell, Lewis Hamilton, Verstappen, your top 3. 3. Perez won last time out in Bahrain. We'll see if we can defend that here today, but unfortunately he's not even in the top 4. He's dropped down into 5th place there, so he's got some work to do now. As we learned though in that last episode, it's not over till it's over, because a lot of curveballs were thrown at us in Bahrain, and with the rain here in Imola, we could have some curveballs once again sent our way here. Now, as myself, I had a nice clean start here. I wasn't with Gasly. I gave up a little bit of ground here, or Gasly I should say, gained a little bit of ground as I was down in 12th place actually, instead of starting 10th there. So we lose 2 positions on this opening start, which not ideal, but I wasn't really hitting that panic button quite yet here, because I knew I had good speed in this car. So we put the fight to fellow Canadian of Lance Stroll down into turn 1. I'm going to do a bit of a switchback, trying to go the long way around there on the Aston Martin, and it is going to be successful. So up into now 11th place we go, as we were trying to run down. Next up, Fernando Alonso in that BWT Alpine now, as it wasn't really that long until we would be able to run him down. So like I said, we had good pace in this AlphaTauri here today, and that would be shown because here we come through on lap 4, and you can see the gap slowly starting to dwindle between myself and Fernando. 1.9 seconds, 2 seconds between himself and I, but I was having a tough time getting the grip down. That was the big issue here. I couldn't get that power down like I wanted to early on in this race, but like I said, that gap would start to decrease quite significantly here in the next handful of laps or so. It comes down to 1.8 seconds. Doesn't seem like a big gain, but then we're down to 1.6, 1.5, and then I get a bit of a warning there, 1.4, and suddenly I just kind of hit my strides. I was closing in quickly on Fernando Alonso here, the 2-time world champion, and as we come through now to lap 6, already only 11 laps to go, now just a second, 9/10 of a second between myself and Fernando here. There was actually a yellow flag on the circuit, and it was for Kevin Magnussen, who's having a mechanical failure in the Haas, and he is going to be out here in Imola. Heartbreaking for Kevin Magnussen, and well, that would bring out the safety car moments before I'm coming to the pit lane. The rain is lightening up. I decide, you know what, let's go. Let's take the intermediate tires right here, and nobody pits with us. We're the only one to put on the intermediate tire. Like I said, the rain is getting lighter. I think right now in the current conditions, the wet tire is still the way to go, but by the time the safety car comes in, we might be in prime position to steal a very, very good finish from this field here now, as we would get ready to go back racing here momentarily. And we were down in 16th place, but the safety car was coming in this lap, and as that was happening, Lewis Hamilton, Max Verstappen, Perez, they're all coming into the pit lane as well. You can see a whole bunch of drivers, about half the field pits. Sebastian Vettel, our teammate of Pierre Gasly, Daniel Ricciardo, etc. And all of a sudden, well, we got through into the 8th position here in this opening moment of the return to racing. But you can see now, well, we still have 7 cars to pass, and I can tell you that everybody in front of us basically committed to staying out for the remainder of the race on this wet compound tire, and the intermediate compound tire was now the favorable compound, of course. So we had a massive advantage, and now we have a chance for a podium, maybe even a win, because we're on the move. We passed Ocon, we passed Alonso, go around the outside of him, an easy pass right there, and we continue on our way. George Russell had pitted as well, by the way, along with Ocon. I go around the outside here of Lance Stroll in the Aston Martin. We're up into 4th place. We are hauling the mail at this point here. 5 laps to go, closing in on the Ferrari duo of the Spaniard of Sainz, the Monegascan of Charles Leclerc here, and it was just a matter of time until we would be right on the gearbox of Carlos Sainz. Verstappen comes through to sit the fastest lap of the race on that intermediate tire, but here we are right on that gearbox of Carlos, and I'm going to try the same move on Carlos that I did on Stroll. Go around the outside here the long way around, and sure enough, it works, up into 3rd place. Next up, Charles Leclerc, then Lando Norris, who's 4 seconds down the road here, and we're only going to have about 4 laps to make up 4 seconds. So with this compound situation, I think we have the advantage enough to be able to close that 4-second gap here, wheel to wheel into a section where you really don't want to be wheel to wheel there, as I abuse the track limits a little bit, but surprisingly, even on strict corner cutting, I don't get no warning for it. So up into 2nd place we go with 4 laps to go. What a curveball has been thrown at us after Kevin Magnussen, with his mechanical failure, has changed everything. Flipped this race upside down. We're in 2nd place, running down Lando Norris at a very quick rate. 2.7 seconds back, coming to the final 3 laps of this GP. Then, as we were about 2.5 laps to go, we are now 1.5 seconds back here, and we just continue to get closer and closer and closer to Lando Norris. And I knew now I'm in the perfect prime position to be able to go and win here in Imola, and already, I guess you can say, check off 1 box of this Road to Glory series, and that was getting this AlphaTauri team to the top step of the podium. Didn't expect to do it in race number 2, but even when you don't have the best car, if you play your cards right with strategy and take opportunities that you're given, well, you can make it happen. But we still have to make that pass on Lando to win this race. Coming to the final lap, out of the final turn, right on his gearbox. He's not going to have much for us. We're going to sweep around the left-hand side, and it's not even a contest. We take the lead from Lando Norris on the final lap here in Imola and are heading towards victory here. What a race it has been here, with everything just completely turned upside down, completely favoring us, and now 1.2 seconds a gap here already through sector 1 now. Is actually, I'll go a little bit wide right there and get a 3-second time penalty, so hold on. It's not over yet. We need to hold on and pull out another second and a half on Lando Norris. It got up to 2 seconds here as we come through into the final chicane here, and this is a crucial chicane. We get through there with really no issues whatsoever. 2.5 seconds, 2.6, 2.7, and then to 2.8 seconds. 2 more tenths of a second is all we need to at least hold off that McLaren with the time penalty. Now to 2.9, and it's going to be 3 seconds hopefully here as we round this final turn. Yes, it is. It's going to go up to 3.1 and nearly 3.2. Is it? Well, we will win here in Imola in the Road to Glory series. Unbelievable. That was probably the last thing I expected coming here into Imola. Even with the rain throwing the curveballs it can, I still did not expect it to end like that. Let's head to the podium to celebrate bringing AlphaTauri to the top step.
They take the checkered flag then here in Imola in what has been another outstanding Grand Prix. So Anthony, what made the difference out there today?
Well, keeping their tyre temperatures up in the tricky wet conditions was really important. There's not much grip out there at the best of times, and it's 10 times worse if you're out there on cold tyres. So the way they kept the rubber in its proper operating window was a huge advantage today.
Our winners are heading to the podium right now. AlphaTauri have done an exceptional job when it comes to forging new talent and seeing them take home the victory. Today is a huge positive for the future of the sport.
Like I said, that was probably the last thing that I expected to do coming into this episode, was win. Pierre Gasly there in P10, so some good points, and we actually lead the championship here with this AlphaTauri team right now. In the Constructors Championship, though, we are second, 2 points behind Mercedes. Obviously, we need a lot of races to go like that if we want to have any chance to win a Drivers' Championship or a Constructors title, but with all these R&D points that we were able to pick up this episode, we're able to actually start developing a bunch of major upgrades for this team and hopefully put the fight legitimately in dry racing and actual when we're seeing what the pace is against Ferrari and McLaren and whatnot. But a great start to this Road to Glory series. If you guys have been enjoying so far, make sure to let me know. You know what to do. I will see you guys in the next one when we head to Portimao. Thank you for watching and have yourselves a great day.